Bitcoin is government's worst nightmare. Every time they print, you get poorer. Your money melts, while theirs multiplies. And that's why they'll do anything to stop it. But of course, they can't just say, "We hate Bitcoin because it makes us weaker," so they invent excuses. Today we'll uncover the real reasons behind their hatred and why this battle is just heating up. Governments love controlling the money supply. It's their magic wand. When the treasury runs low, they don't cut spending. They don't sell assets. They don't even apologize. They just print more paper. Need to win an election? Promise subsidies. Need to fund a war? Print. Need to bail out banker buddies? Print again. And while the presses roll, your savings quietly melt like ice cream in the sun. Bitcoin laughs at this circus because nobody controls it. Not presidents, not central banks, not even your cousin Dave with his crypto mastery course on Instagram. The supply is fixed, 21 million, no more, no less. To politicians, that's not just scary, that's infuriating. Like a magician watching his best trick stolen in front of the crowd. With traditional money, taxes are a breeze. Your paycheck flows through a bank. The bank reports to the government, and before your salary even hits your hands, poof, a chunk is gone. With Bitcoin, not so easy. Sure, governments can still tax it, but it's messy. It requires tracking wallets, analyzing transactions, forcing exchanges to play police. It's like trying to tax people trading Pokemon cards in secret basements. Possible, but exhausting. And just the thought of citizens moving money outside the tax funnel makes politicians sweat bullets. Because if there's one thing scarier to them than protesters in the streets, it's people keeping what they actually earned. Money is political. Always has been. Whoever controls the money controls the votes, the bribes, the wars. History is full of kings and emperors who survived not with armies, but with treasuries. Bitcoin cuts that cord. Suddenly, governments don't hold the only key to the vault. Imagine a mayor giving a big speech with promises, handshakes, and campaign posters, only for the crowd to wave Bitcoin wallets instead. That's the nightmare scenario. Power no longer flows through their printing presses. It flows through math, through code, through people holding their own keys. And for politicians, that's like playing chess and realizing the pawns just quit and started their own game. Of course, they can't just say, "We hate Bitcoin because it makes us weaker." So they invent a story. Bitcoin is for criminals. Funny thing though, most crime still uses dollars. Drug lords don't sit around waiting 10 minutes for a block confirmation. They move cash, in bags, in planes, in suitcases. Meanwhile, politicians need a villain. Something to point at on TV while pretending to protect you. So Bitcoin becomes the boogeyman, while banks quietly launder billions in the background. Banks are government's best friends. They thrive on fees, bailouts, overdraft charges at 3 a.m. Bitcoin cuts them out completely. No middlemen, no surprise fees when you dared buy coffee. So the banker whispers in the politician's ear, "Kill it." And politicians listen. Because nothing says friendship like a lobbyist with a checkbook. But the funniest excuse? They say they're protecting you. Banks don't just fear losing fees. They fear losing their entire playbook. First, payments. Every swipe of your card, every wire transfer runs through them, with a toll. Bitcoin skips the toll booth. Second, custody. Banks profit by guarding your wealth. With Bitcoin, you guard your own keys. No middleman, no storage fees. Third, deposits. Banks lend out your savings to make profit. But if people park value in Bitcoin instead, their lending engine sputters. And finally, clearing. Today, banks control the plumbing of money, the hidden pipes of SWIFT, wires, settlements. Bitcoin builds new pipes, open to anyone. So when bankers see Bitcoin, they don't just see a new asset. They see a wrecking ball swinging straight at their business model. They wag their fingers. Bitcoin is too volatile, too dangerous. Meanwhile, their own currencies collapse faster than milk in the sun. Argentina, Turkey, Venezuela. Citizens drag wheelbarrows of cash just to buy bread. Do they feel protected or robbed? Politicians scream risk while their own house burns in hyperinflation flames. That's not protection. That's hypocrisy in a suit and tie. The real fear isn't crime. It isn't volatility. It's competition. If citizens choose Bitcoin, governments lose their magic trick, turning paper into power. With Bitcoin, your paycheck can't be silently drained by inflation. Your savings can't be frozen with a bureaucrat's signature. That terrifies them more than any protest, because protests end. Losing control of money? That's permanent. And the scariest part? Bitcoin doesn't just protect savers. It opens the doors to billions who were never invited to the system in the first place. Billions of people live outside the banking system. No account, no credit, no chance. For governments, that's convenient. If you're unbanked, you're invisible. No savings, no loans, no political voice. Then comes Bitcoin. All you need is a phone. Suddenly, a farmer in El Salvador, a shopkeeper in Nigeria, or a taxi driver in Argentina can plug into a global network of value. No paperwork, no banker's approval, no government permission. That's why politicians panic. Financial inclusion sounds good on a campaign poster, clearly, but real inclusion means losing control. It means citizens can earn, save, and send money without ever touching the state's rails. And for governments, that's the real danger. A world where the powerless finally have power in their pocket. So they fight back. Some countries banned it. China kicked out miners. India tried to ban trading. But banning Bitcoin is like banning the internet. It doesn't disappear. It just moves. Kick miners out of China? They land in Texas with rigs, brisket, and cowboy hats. Try shutting down wallets? New ones appear overnight. Bitcoin is digital water. It flows around every obstacle, and no dam has ever stopped a flood forever. Governments fight with laws. Banks, propaganda. Bitcoin fights with math. And math? Math never lost an election. No matter how many speeches they give, no matter how many fear campaigns they launch, 2 + 2 will always equal 4. You can ban it, tax it, cry about it on national TV. The code doesn't care. That's the real nightmare for governments. You can't argue with an equation. But if you think lost wallets and ghost coins are scary, that's just the shadows of crypto. Because before you can fight in this new world, you need to speak its language. What's a wallet? What's staking? Why does everyone scream HODL while buying Dogecoin on Robinhood? Don't worry, I've got you. In the next episode, we strip away the hype and break crypto down to basics. The words, the tools, and the culture you must understand before your first dollar touches Bitcoin. Watch Crypto Terms Explained, a beginner's guide. So hit like, subscribe, so next time you see laser eyes, FOMO, or whales, you won't feel lost. You'll feel in control.